Hello and welcome to another episode of Improperly Packaged, a show where we unbox topics related to movies, TV, games, whatever. I'm Jordan, with me is Luke. How you doing, Luke?
Doing well. Welcome one and welcome all.
Good to have you back, man. I missed you. How was your vacation?
That was good. We went up to the mountains, Asheville, saw some. I need to turn you up. You are quiet.
Am I? Oh, shoot. Hope I'm not.
I got it up now. I'm
Oh,
good.
okay.
You're
Cool.
blasting.
Cool.
You're booming.
Woo.
We saw some leaves and almost saw some snow. Apparently, for those who go up to Blue Ridge Mountains and Smoky Mountains, I don't actually know what the difference is. I guess one area is kind of the Blue Ridge Mountain area, one area is the Smoky Mountains. Comment, go in the comment section. Tell us what the difference is. Whatever comment section that is.
Of Spotify or Apple iTunes. You should write a review with the answer.
Comments. I guess go to our YouTube page and comment.
I guess so.
I don't know.
Who knows?
But anyways, whatever it was, there's there's some areas that are much more higher elevation than the rest of it. And yeah, so there was some snow up there. Got really cold. Got in the 20s for a little bit.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Definitely some ice. It was nice change. Yeah, it's nice to get away.
You Northerners and other people who are not in Florida or California or whatever, you have to understand snow and ice and all temperatures below the 60s are a treasured thing here. We don't get them.
Especially this early in the year too. I mean,
yeah,
I don't think it's super common up there even, but yeah, it's very uncommon down here.
It was like a bit of a cold snap, I think, over the last week. So the weather.
Here's a little taste, Jordan.
Oh, glorious autumn. Something that we do not quite have. It's so pure. It's very pretty.
So the Blue Ridge Parkway, I don't know, you may have driven on it some when you've been up there, but it is just an absolutely gorgeous road. That's like, it's an interesting setup. From what I understand when I was there, is like I think it's national. I don't think it's the state. I think it's the National Park Service owns land, and they basically carved out land all around the parkway so that it's like a not supernatural, but super, natural area, not like beyond our realm, but a woodsy area is probably a better word to use.
You found the
supernatural.
You found the upside down.
So you go on this upside down road. No. So like there's like land that they own on both sides of the road, and it just is like all woods, like all throughout. And anyways, I'm rambling about the road. But it's really pretty. And like right now, the leaves are changing a lot, but there's also like much more higher elevation on the parkway, and so it was closed in a couple areas. So we were only able to drive like this maybe 30-mile stretch between like gates, because it was just too cold at the time, I guess. There's ice on the road. I don't know, whatever baloney reason. But that's where I got to take that picture. They closed the road, so you're able to just like walk right out on the road and just take a bunch of pictures. And I was flying the drone, and
that's nice. A little nice byproduct.
Flying the drone.
You're on top of the drone, flying it
You're
around.
not supposed
like
to be flying the drone on national property, but
why is that?
Reasons.
Might fall and hit a bear.
Political things, I don't know.
I suppose. They don't like drones.
But it's really pretty up there, is basically what I'm saying.
UFOs.
The leaves are just amazing.
That's where they hide the UFOs, Luke.
That's probably what it is.
It's probably what it is.
Area 52.
Yeah, that's where we got Bigfoot too, or Bigfoot Park, or Bigfoot Petting Zoo.
Blue Ridge Zone.
Oh, yeah.
How about you? What have you been up to?
It's like, you ever have like a moment that where you start liking something and you don't want to like it, and yeah, well,
I can feel that.
Like, I realized that there's a snack that I never knew I liked, but I like, and I actually it's one of those
Zebra cakes.
No, not quite that. But
not that bad.
It's like I went to this. Okay, so it's cheesy poofs. All right, cheesy puffs, cheesy poofs, whatever.
The Planters.
No, I just went and got like any kind, really. I got the Cheetos variety. I've never liked Cheetos. I've always been like, no,
Cheetos.
I
Gotcha.
don't like Cheetos. Like, and it's always the little kinds. But I had no idea about the cheesy puff ones. I was like, I've always thought if I don't like those little ones, I'm certainly not gonna like those big ones. And so
They're like baseball size.
right? Well, they're the little curl, like
Golf ball size. Oh, gotcha.
the
The
curl.
normal Cheeto. Yeah.
Yeah. And today I went to
versus the balls.
No, not the balls. Little curl, cheese curl.
Yeah.
I don't know. I went to
I see what. Okay, now I follow what you're saying. There's like the real crunchy ones, and then there's the like poofy ones. I get
poofy.
I'm thinking like cheese balls is what you're talking about. But
I imagine I'd probably like cheese balls too. I think they're the same kind of consistency.
Well, now
I'd imagine. Yeah.
You're addicted.
I went to the store today after work and just got a bag. I walked into Publix and went to checkout with
Like
just
an animal.
Like an animal. With just a bag of freaking Cheeto puffs or whatever. And I was like, whatever, I should get out of here as quick as possible.
What am I doing?
What I know, it was a what am I doing with my life kind of moment. I hung my head in shame walking out of Publix. Just my Cheetos.
Is this where I am now?
I guess.
Cheetos, man.
I don't know what came over me.
To face it.
But yeah, hey, you went to Blue Ridge and took some pictures. I went to Publix and took some Cheetos.
That's exactly the same thing.
We've had similar weeks.
We're using our time in the exact same way.
I imagine so. Yeah. Our God-given time on this earth, munching on freaking Cheetos, of course.
They are good.
That's pretty much it, man. It's
great.
It's the only thing this feeble mind can recollect at this point. My mind's half made of Cheetos.
Wonderful.
Let's do some watching / playing / listening to.
What you been listening to, Jordan?
Listening to. All right, so Dashboard Confessional, man. It's
okay.
Dashboard Confessional. It's
what
like
are they doing? They got something new?
There's some new stuff coming out. I honestly haven't been like that much, God bless them, haven't been that much of a fan of their stuff. Kind of Dusk and Summer for me was like the big, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And kind of after that, it was kind of like a slow teeter off. Like I liked it, but then kind of less and less. I liked his side project more, like Twin Forks. That stuff is good. Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. But, Dashboard, I haven't been too crazy about it. This new single, man, it's pretty promising. It's the first single from a full-length album that's going to be released in February. The song's called Here's to Moving On. And it's really good. It's really, really good. It does remind me of older Dashboard, where it's like more on the acoustic side, and also
more
using
Mark Mission.
Yeah,
style stuff.
It would fit right in with that stuff. And he's also using a lot of strange chords, which I've always appreciated, like the way
he does.
Yeah, to where it's like that's not just any like acoustic thing. It like sounds unique. It sounds interesting because he picks these interesting chords to use, and it's kind of like what makes Dashboard to me. And I think kind of got lost, especially in like some of the some of the more recent stuff. And I'm like, this is, for me, could be a potential return to form. This song's quite good. So yeah, here's to moving.
A lot of stuff I haven't listened to. I'm going through like Covered in the Flood. I don't think I ever listened to any of that album.
Right. It's
back from 2011.
Yeah,
I missed that completely.
I just wasn't crazy about it. Like I've listened to it front and back, and I was like, you know what? Okay. It does not bad.
Alter the Ending's the last one I remember. Like,
right.
I didn't know about Crooked Shadows.
Alter the
you
Ending.
You had mentioned these like re-recordings, but I didn't realize he had done this much.
Yeah.
So many re-recordings.
Yeah, it's not like he's been gone. They've been continuing to go. Yeah. I know he's personally been through a lot of stuff. There's probably a lot of which will be reflected on this album. But
it looks so different. It's crazy.
Right. Behold. The ravages of age.
Well, no, I'm not saying he looks bad. Just
looks great.
Different. Just looks like a different guy.
Beardy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
What about you, man?
I've been listening to this guy that I like his stuff. I don't know what to think of his stuff. It's catchy enough that I've been listening to
All
it.
right, a
And
half-hearted recommend. Here we go.
I'll see what you think. I mean, we have slightly different tastes, so you might like him more than me. Kevin Walkman, his stuff's, I don't know, it's interesting. He's very like, I don't know, boppy, high energy kind of stuff. He doesn't have a lot of stuff out. He's clearly like just getting started, like 279,000 monthly listeners. So I mean, he's not nothing, but he's also
heating up.
verified. Yeah, I mean, all the top songs are kind of the ones I would recommend. Oh No is kind of I would say the one I like the most of the like top songs, but
Top song. All right, I don't know. I hope this is the right person. From what I'm
popular
seeing,
song.
he has like 4 songs. Period.
I don't know why those are like the only. Yeah, I guess that is. Yeah,
How about that?
yeah. I
Doing
guess
pretty
he does.
good.
You're
Doing
right.
pretty good for himself.
Yeah,
For
that's true.
having a grand
But,
total of 4 songs split between 3
I mean, it's
years.
definitely well produced. I mean, you can tell it. Good recording, good editing.
Right. When he's probably got a job and he's just doing this on his free time. I get that. That's not too bad, actually, especially for how many views he's getting. So if it's good for you, Walkman.
And I mean, he's been bringing out stuff, quite a bit recently. So he may come out with new stuff.
We'll take a little peeky boo. It's all
He
right.
reminds me
no.
of people we kind of listened to
Okay.
in high school. Bands that we liked. Hello, Goodbye. It
Ah.
definitely reminds me of him.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right.
It's fun stuff.
I can listen to fun every now and then. Doesn't always have to be sad, I guess.
Not always, just most of the time.
Just most of the time. Feeling sorry for yourself songs. They're great. I don't really have much to discuss as far as watching / playing. There's been a few things here and there, but nothing too new. So I played some Forza Horizon 5 last night for a couple hours.
You did.
So
I was just playing it before I came up here.
All right. I mean, we can talk a little bit about it, some of our impressions. For me, I feel like I'm not the best person to discuss this game. Like, obviously it's good. Like, obviously, like that opener is great. Getting airdropped in the first.
My only complaint with that is it's exactly what they showed you in the trailer.
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys.
It's a giveaway for sure.
Do a separate thing for the trailer and then have a new intro. Like,
right.
It just seems like it would be easy to just do something slightly different for the trailer and then have that same cool intro on.
Right.
Just a little annoyance. But it is really cool.
Yeah. And obviously
it's about as cool as you can make a racing game. I mean, let's be honest.
Right.
Like, what else can you do? Dropping cars from planes.
Yeah.
Racing around volcanoes. I mean, come on.
This is what you do. I mean, like, honestly, like, thinking about it, as far as like a racing game like this, thinking about like how like can you make it as approachable as possible and have as much as you possibly can put in it, because it's like, I almost feel like PlayStation Studios is like continuing with Gran Turismo to do like the most old school thing. And with Gran Turismo, and only I feel like only racing sim people are going to get into that, but I feel like this is as broad as you can make it. I think
it's pretty true on Forza Motorsport as well. Like, the times I've played it, it's just been like, this just doesn't grab me at all. I mean, I like cars. I've talked about that before, but I'm not really a car game guy.
Right.
And I'm certainly not like a true, like, real to life, as real as it can get sim. That's just really, I can look at it and like appreciate it, but just not have a lot of fun with that.
Mm-hmm.
But Horizon's definitely different.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm horrible at it. Like, horrible. Like, I don't say this about a lot of games. Like, there's a lot of games I'm bad at, sure, but I always get the impression if I like try harder, I'll be good. But with this, I'm like, I feel so, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me. And so, but that being said, the sheer polish and just quality that's here makes me want to try. Like, it makes me want to try to get over the hump, because I do feel like there's this hump that I'm trying to get over that I'm just struggling to, and that is just it's honestly, I mean, this is any racing game. It's the turns, of course. It's like those tight turns, which I'm like, I'm in one of these three categories. Either I don't turn early enough and I crash into the wall, I turn too tight, like I turn too soon or whatever, and like I just mess it up completely, or I brake too hard and I like spin out. It's like I'm usually one of those.
I know what you mean.
I'm just trying to figure it out. Like it's obviously a me thing. It is not a game thing. It's obviously a me thing, to where I just haven't learned how to play driving games yet, unless the title of the game ends with the word kart, you know, like or like GTA or something like that. I'm obviously just like, there's something there that I don't have the timing or finesse down. I feel like I just handed the controller to someone to play. Say, hey, here's Smash Bros, and this is your first time playing. And then there's like that learning curve where you're like, what is this? And like, I feel like I'm there with Forza Horizon, and it's it's interesting. I am literally sitting there like, oh my God, like I'm just trying to drive somewhere and Amber's watching me just like,
what are you doing?
The game is gorgeous.
Trying to
be bad? And it obviously has so much as far as like what it gives you to do. There's so much to do as far as like the variety of missions, the variety of races, the variety of like tracks. There's so much. It's like, it makes me be like, I want to be good at this. And it's obviously incredible looking. Like even on like Series S, which, you know, I'm sure it looks even better on Series X, like way better. But it looks great on Series S. And I
went for the higher frame rate. I actually switched it to the performance mode instead of the resolution. I didn't notice any difference. It's like, did the resolution go down because it looks amazing?
I believe it's a much more bigger sacrifice for S. I'm going to try it out, but from what I heard, it's a bit more of a sacrifice where you're like above, like, you know, like in the 1440p area with 30 frames, but then it's like 1080 and down, for the performance. So I'll check it out.
I love high frame rate though.
It is so hard really when you start playing a lot of games like that. It's hard to say 30.
And I play Warzone in 120, so like it's really hard to go down to 30. So when I saw that, I'm like, man, 30. I was kind of surprised I even had to make that choice though.
Right.
But I guess just a game like that, like the ceiling's just so high that, I mean, let's be honest here. Like, I spent $500. Like, yeah, I mean, it's a good amount of money, but compared to like a fully kitted out PC, nothing. I mean, a $500 PC, you know, and I know, you know, Microsoft's taking a bath on it, but still, it's
amazing. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I expect more. I shouldn't, but I do, unfortunately. But it's still, I mean, like I said, it looks amazing. It's just like, so this could look even better. This could be 8K at 120.
Right.
Probably not, but at least 4K.
And even with the S, I'm complaining a little bit of having to like be like, I can't really do 60 without it kind of, you know, taking a dive. But again, a $300 console, like it's.
Did you try both modes?
I haven't tried the 60 frames yet. I think I'm going to. A lot of times
stuck with higher res.
A lot of times with 60 though, it isn't just playability. 60 frames looks great, and sometimes it's like if you have to sacrifice resolution, sometimes it's worth it depending on how much you have to sacrifice, because you're like, wow, this just looks so buttery smooth. It just looks clearer, you know, it just looks better. Whereas like you almost get like
what I find
a blurry feeling almost when it's 30 frames. But
it's like if you're moving very slowly, it looks amazing, but then things start happening and it's like, you know, there's just so much like lag and the loss of frames. It's I hate that.
Something that blows my mind, and I've only seen it like a couple times in video games, and I really appreciate it when they say your name in the game. It always is like,
And I didn't even put it in. I thought that was amazing
Same.
too. They just like they filled it in. Did
Right.
that happen to you?
Yeah, it
Like
did.
I
I
never
didn't put
filled it
anything in.
in. It just put it in. Like I'm guessing that's like it's syncing my Forza account. I didn't know if it was the
Perhaps.
Xbox or the Forza.
Could just be your Xbox, but it blew my mind. I've only experienced that once, one other time, and it's in the beginning of Fallout 4. Your robot companion says it. At first it was like gave me false expectation. I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna say your name in this game. No, it's
Oh,
only
I
that one
know.
character, but
But they do throughout the game in this one.
it's
Every time they
it's
say it, it's like,
cool.
whoa.
I love when they can add like anything that injects you into the game. If it's supposed to be your avatar, them saying your name, I think that is such a cool thing. And I love to see, I don't know what it takes for them to do that. Like just to have the voice actor like say like thousand name a couple times. I mean, honestly,
I
it's worth
think,
it. I don't know.
Google has come up with a thing where they can like somehow computer generatedly pronounce like letters in a sequence to like create a word.
That's cool.
And it sounded like a little off, so I was thinking it might have been that. I mean, it sounded good, but it didn't sound like a person was actually like Luke, hey.
Yeah.
It was more like Luke.
That's
A
good enough
little
sometimes.
tiny
I don't
bit
know.
off. Yeah, I mean, it sounded fine. Like I said, to be able to, I wonder what the possibilities are. Like, can you just like type in a name like
Yeah.
JKLNZ key? It's like, I don't know. It's just like how well can it like actually pronounce like any freaking word that I put in?
It's
I don't
cool.
know. I'm rambling, but that would be cool
More of that stuff, please,
to
in
know
games where
how
it makes sense.
crazy it is.
That's awesome.
Really awesome.
Um, other than that, not too much here. Shoot, I'm watching. I started watching Mythic Quest. I'm enjoying
Nice.
that. I'm about 6 or 7 episodes in. It's quite good. Uh, Great cast. I don't know. It doesn't
Yeah.
seem
So
like,
goofy.
yeah, very goofy, but also I do. I'm happy that it doesn't feel like a kind of game where it's like I
Show.
show, sorry. It's the kind of show where I feel like so many things that's like about video games feel so pandering sometimes, where it feels like it's hard to
Yeah.
make it natural to be
Yeah.
like they wouldn't talk like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like they've struck a good balance with this show to where I feel like, yeah, it's not just throwing a million references like, oh, here's a reference because the gamers will like it. No, they're really natural with
Yeah.
it, and it doesn't do things that annoy me. Like I feel like a lot of shows have done that in the past, and it just bugs the crap out of me. We're like, oh my god, that's not how we talk. Where we're just spewing references
Not how my
constantly.
people talk.
Exactly. But yeah, so far it's great. So yeah.
The only thing I'll say about that show is those little like cutscenes between where they show the like video game things.
Mhm.
I laugh at those every time. It's like, well, that's clearly from World of Warcraft, and that's clearly taken from
Assassin's Creed.
I don't know. Yeah, it's that. There's a lot of those. Assassin's Creed. I think there's like Prince of Persia. It's like some of them.
Ubisoft.
It's just weird because it's like
Yeah.
it's supposed to be their game, at least they make it seem like it's supposed to be the game that they're working on.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's like what? Like the graphics are completely different. Like
Each
this is a
time.
completely different perspective. or what? There's that one melee multiplayer game. Like
For Honor.
For Honor, yeah. They'll have that, but then there's like a World of Warcraft scene. I'm like,
Yeah.
those are two completely different games. Like one's an MMO and one's like a melee action game. Like I don't know. It's just funny.
That's kind of what I'm talking about, where that does seem like a choice where you're like, let's put something in here to remind gamers that this is a show that they should like because there's video game stuff in it. But yeah, it's unnecessary. You can cut all those out. I'm sure
they're just like working with what they can afford to use, but
right. And I know Ubisoft has a
funny.
hand in the show, so I think
they must. It's pretty obvious. It's so many assets from Ubisoft games.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it for me, man. What about you?
So the big thing that happened for me is the Atlanta Braves won the freaking World Series.
I was thinking about you, buddy.
Yes, sir.
I was thinking about you. I was very happy for you. That's great.
Since 1995, we haven't won. Been half a lifetime.
Hats off to you.
More than
Hats
half my
with A's
lifetime.
on them.
Yeah. So
Big
that was
day.
really exciting. Got to watch that while I was up there in Asheville, and yeah, just hats off to the players. Obviously, hats off to the team. Just I don't have a lot to say about it. I'm just really excited to have been able to be a small, tiny part as a fan of just such a cool season. Those guys played really well. Just great pitching. Just amazing hitting. I mean, they just kept finding a way to get hits, even though they were facing just some insane pitchers between the Dodgers and then the Astros. Like both of those teams had great pitchers. Obviously, they made it this far. But the Braves just kept hitting, game after game. I think there was like one game where the Astros ended up smoking them pretty good, where they only scored like 2 runs. But most of the games they would score 3, 4, 5, 6 runs at least. And then of course their pitching had to back them up and keep the other team from scoring. And they did that over and over again. It just was impressive. I mean, it was a championship team all the way through. They had the heart, they played together. It's just I guess the rumor is that Freddie Freeman, who has been one of the best players for the Atlanta Braves, I don't know, he may be traded, maybe retiring. I don't know what the deal is, but they were talking about there at the end of the game, like this may be his last at bat as a Brave here. So I don't know. I'd be very sad to see him go. For me, he was kind of the Chipper Jones sequel. He was very similar player to Chipper, whereas like, he's a little bit more of a power hitter than Chipper was. But I grew up, when I was younger, watching Chipper Jones play for the Braves and kind of idealizing him as like the baseball player that I would want to be if I could be that good. And so now Freddie Freeman is kind of that, probably for another generation. Just a great first baseman, great hitter. And just seems like just the nicest guy, like in his interviews and stuff. Like he loves his family, and he thanks God, and he's just a great guy. So yeah, I appreciate a team that is respectful and plays a fair game, unlike the Houston Astros, who were caught cheating 3 years ago, and I think really deserve to be beat. And there's like a joke meme on Instagram where it's like, the part of America that was cheering for the Atlanta Braves, it's the entire country. The part cheering for the Astros, like the tiny little Houston symbol. So, yeah, I think it's true, unfortunately.
We'll soak up the W. That is
Yep.
obviously momentous occasion for Brave fans everywhere. I'm going to turn on the fan because I am toasty. One moment.
So I'll have to say this again because Jordan's going to come back. But CJ, I bought you a hat just like I told you, and I got it shipped to my house, and I am working on having it shipped to you. I am so sorry. I didn't realize how much shipping costs were going to be, so that's why I haven't shipped it out yet, but I'm really sorry, CJ.
What are you shipping to CJ?
I bought CJ a hat, and I accidentally had it shipped to myself instead of CJ, and I didn't realize it's like freaking $12 to have it shipped up to him. So
good Lord,
I think I'm gonna have to return the hat and then have them send it to
have
the
it
right
sent
place
properly
because it's free shipping if I do it that way. So it's like $12 isn't a ton of money, but it's like it's a freaking hat. I mean,
right, like half the cost of the hat at least.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, cool. And what else you got going on, man?
There's one other show I wanted to mention, Invasion. I've started watching. I watched the first episode. Yeah, I mean, it's a show that I really do want to watch. I haven't seen enough to know if it's like going to be the show that I'm going to love, but it's an Apple TV Plus original.
A lot of that
it just looks very interesting. It's very sci-fi. There's a lot of mystery as to what's going on. It's definitely alien based, like threat. So yeah, I'm gonna have to watch I'm gonna have to watch it.
Okay.
So yeah, hopefully I will. I'll update you on how it goes. But
Please do.
only watched the first episode so far.
It's cool to have a show like that that's not coming from the Sci-Fi Channel. You know?
Yeah.
Like anytime there's like an invasion or alien thing, it's like Sci-Fi has like the, I don't know. I'm being overly critical. From everything I've heard, their quality has gone up exponentially since I was a preteen watching Sci-Fi.
I know they changed their name.
Did they? Wow.
For some reason.
No, they want to distance themselves.
SYFY instead of.
Oh
my gosh. I was trying to look at the information around the show, and it started the actual episode.
Oh, you want to watch? Go.
A grandfather.
How do I?
Like I'm a million years old.
I just want to see.
What are these darn computers? What are these boys doing down here with this thing?
Oh, boy.
Anyways, that's about it.
Yep. Okay. Well, we got a long way to go, buddy. We got 2 things to review. I guess we'll start with the least recent thing and work our way to the most. Time codes in the description below. How we're going to do this, we're going to talk about Dune first, then talk about Eternals. We'll do non-spoilers and then move into spoilers as we go along. So we'll give ample warning before that happens. But here we go. Dune.
Dune indeed.
Dune, yeah. I mean, it's been a while since this has come out. It feels like I'm going to have to kind of adjust myself to talk about this because I'm in an eternal mindset, but I think we can do this.
Eternal mindset.
Yeah, well, I don't know. But let's go ahead and get started same way we always do when I ask Luke, what'd you think of Dune? Non-spoilers, and we'll head into spoilers in a little bit.
I'm of 2 minds on Dune. It very much gave me exactly what I thought it was going to give me. It was one of those movies, like I kept thinking, like as I'm watching, I'm like, I can't remember the last time I've watched a movie and it was exactly what I got from the trailer. And it like followed through with everything, like the tone and, and that can be good and bad. I think, there's a negative to it where it's like, I kind of feel like I'm not being surprised a lot here. But at the same time, it's like, if you like that kind of thing, it's like, wow, I showed up for this and I'm being given this. And, yeah, but then the second mind was just, I think it's a really well-made movie. Like it's just, the production quality is very high. Acting's very good. I'm giving away way too much here up front, but yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I thought it was pretty fantastic. Yeah. Shoot. The movie, okay, is a visual marvel. I think it's just incredible to look at, incredible to listen to as well. I think the sound design is also is equally as epic as the visuals, like the music and the sound effects.
It's your boy from Lost.
Giacchino? Right? Is that?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't even know that. But it's a great soundtrack. I mean, it's super epic. The entire movie is just so epic. I was describing it to someone because they were asking about it. They're like, how was Dune? And they were like, was it really exciting? Was it great action? I was like, you know what? No, this isn't like, I wouldn't really describe this as an action movie. I'm not saying it's devoid of action. There are action parts in it, but it's like, it's exciting in a different way. Like seeing a ship land is exciting, like because of just how the movie's made, when it's just like, you're just going, oh my God, like seeing this, I'm with them. Like, as far as like this being a theater experience, this is a great theater experience. Like I felt like the theater that I was in, like I didn't see it in RPX. It was like just one of the bigger theaters in Celebration. It's like, they have their audio turned up. Like I felt like I was like rattling in my seats during some of these scenes, and just watching it was just so big. And yeah, amazing to behold. As far as the story, it's kind of your classic chosen one story, extremely lore heavy, but as someone who is making their way through the book, this is a pretty accessible version of it. I'm not gonna lie. This is there's actually reveals things to me as someone who's reading the book and being like, oh, so that's what they were saying. I feel like an idiot for admitting that, but I do feel like, as if you come out of this movie and you're like, wow, that was kind of incomprehensible. This is one of, I think, the most accessible ways to absorb this story. I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of words, there's a lot of religions, there's a lot of titles. Yeah, I mean, I'm finding out how to pronounce some of these words, like the Quizit Hazarat. I'm like, oh my God, imagine reading that. I'm just like having to say that in my mind over and over. And I'm like, was it? No, I don't know. But yeah,
it is Zimmer. I
it's
had
Zimmer.
seen something
Okay.
on Instagram where I think Giacchino was recording like the final parts for the Batman, and I guess I had gotten that mixed up with Dune.
Oh, he's doing the Batman.
So just want to correct that.
Okay.
Yeah, my bad.
Well, yeah, I mean, this director is always doing things that are visually exciting, and so I think
Just like we had talked about before we watched it.
Right. It's kind of exactly what you'd expect.
Villanueva. Yeah.
I think some things you can expect other than that, if you're not gonna be like, wow, it looks good, it sounds good. I mean, I feel like there are things other than that, like that, to appreciate.
Great costume design, I will say.
Yeah.
That, really lent a hand, because there's a lot of outfits and stuff that I think you really need to do right, or it's just like, that's strange.
But yeah, the design overall, like the costumes, and also like just the visual effects artists, like doing those ships, really great.
Mm-hmm.
Like otherworldly looking.
Dragonflies.
Yeah, the dragonflies. Very freaking cool. And the actors, I think the actors are great in this. Like, I think everyone who's
Rebecca
in it.
Ferguson.
Rebecca Ferguson.
I mean, she's just a top talent anyways. I mean, her work in the Bond films was amazing, and
Mission Impossible,
she did a great job. Oh yeah, for some reason I always think James Bond, but yeah,
similar thing. Timothy Chalamet, it's like I haven't seen him very much in like leading roles. He's usually like the guy who shows up in Little Women or in Lady Bird. But he's a leading man. I think he really is. Like, he doesn't do anything that blows me away here, but I think he has a magnetic presence. And he's perfect for this kind of role, I think. And yeah, everyone is just really good at it. I think they have a great cast here. And yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much okay. I guess first, before we move into spoilers, I think we should address, like you mentioned this last time we recorded. You talked about this, and I didn't know this when you mentioned it, that this is a part 1.
Oh, indeed.
I think it is interesting. It's gonna strike you in a different kind of way, because it's not marketed as that. It really isn't. Like, they present,
change the name for some reason.
Yeah, when the
original
movie
title
starts
is part 1.
Yeah, it could be if this didn't do well and did not get a sequel, which would be a very frustrating thing to watch this movie and know that you're not going to get a follow up. But thank God, honestly, it has been announced that part 2 is happening. So,
and on another podcast I was listening to, they mentioned the fact that like it's very important to make it seem like you're transitioning straight into the next part here. So it's kind of weird that they like had to stop production, and now they have to pick all that production back up, and now it's been 2 more years of weathering on the faces, and I don't know, that's weird. And I mean, it's been 2 years since, I'm assuming about 2 years since they stopped. And of course, whenever it was they actually shot the final scene, and I mean, production can be years, so it's just gonna be a little strange. It'll be interesting to see how it transitions. Whereas something like Lord of the Rings is the exact same situation, and yet they filmed all that back to back.
Yeah,
so it works very well.
I feel like that's a very costly decision not to do it back to back too. Like,
break down all the equipment, then take it all home, bring it all the way back to wherever they shot.
Yeah, I wonder if, like, because it would make sense to be like, hey, we're going to keep these actors here and just kind of do a bundle deal or whatever. But I guess it's a possibility that they could be like, okay, we have scheduling conflicts. Like, our shoot can only be this long, or I don't know. And maybe they're like, well, we'd like you to be here longer. We want to do this. So I guess we'll just have to call you back, when it's time. I don't know. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes? I'm sure we'll find out one day, but yeah, the interesting situation, but I think it's good to go into this movie with that expectation too, to be like, this is a part one, so you're not taken aback by the fact that this is only half a story, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think, yeah, because it's a lot of setup for sure. A lot of setup, which for me wasn't too much of a problem. Obvious what I liked to felt at the end of this movie, like more things have happened, of course, but
Yeah, I mean, I actually I was pretty happy with where it stopped. I thought it
yeah.
was obviously I want to see the rest of the movie, but yeah, it felt like okay, that
Mhm.
was really good. That was a really good piece of content that I'm excited to see wrapped up. So,
Absolutely. I'm not sure how much we're gonna get into this in spoilers, but I think we'll have some good stuff to say. Spoilers. Here it is. Spoilers. Look out. Skip ahead if you want to see Eternals. Time codes below. Blah blah blah. Yeah. So, what would anything that stuck out to you that you'd like to discuss here, Luke?
I don't know. I mean, it's so different for me because I'm coming at it having just barely started the original movie, which listening to people on other shows apparently was hated. Apparently, people don't like that movie. I
The
didn't know that. I
David
thought a lot of
Lynch
people liked
one.
that, but I guess I don't know. It's the only one I know about.
Mhm.
I thought it seemed interesting. I mean, obviously, it shows its age. It's got to be 30 years old now.
Yeah, I can only
But
imagine. Only imagine
but
that's the source material.
so I think you have a little different perspective having read most of the book.
No.
No,
Not most. I'll say not most. I'm still working my way through it. Judging by this movie, I'm about a quarter way in.
and there's also 3 books.
Yeah, there's also 3 books. The Children of Dune, what I think is next, but I don't know. But um, I got about to the point where, if we're comparing it to the movie, right after the incident with a sandworm. So pretty early on, it's before
When they're
the
like watching it from above on the
yeah, and
ship.
they're like, let's get
They
out
have
of
to
here,
land.
getting the salt,
Yeah.
the spice miners out of
He
there.
has the vision.
Yeah, which the interesting to see things that like don't happen in the book, but I think a lot of things that don't happen in the book are either here to translate better to screen or to kind of prepare people for what it's building up to. Because there is sometimes a
Yeah.
sense reading the book where I'm like, where are we going? And so Paul is having these visions throughout, which, he has dreams. I think mainly that dream at the beginning of Zendaya. But when he has these like visions that are like, I guess it's implied that's induced by the spice in the air, that he's having a reaction to it and thus having visions of the future and
Is that
possible
not in the
futures.
movie
If it's not in the book, at least not at this
or the book? Yeah.
point. There's a few things that I'm like, that's not in the book at this point. Like the voice that very well could be moving forward, but it's not like introduced in this way. Like the the abilities of the Bene Gesserit are more like almost like they don't control people by their voice, at least how it's been portrayed to me in where I'm at in the book. It's more like they can tell when people are lying, and they're able to kind of perceive people in a way that kind of helps them to like kind of really navigate situations, and not so much as to be like, you're doing this, if I can say it right. I don't know. This works just fine. I'm not the kind of person, honestly, who will read a book and if they like will change something, I don't get upset generally, unless it's a terrible change. This is, for me, it's like, okay, that's cool too. Really cool effect with like the bassy voice with like multiple voices when they use the voice. Very cool. Scared me when I was in the theater, honestly.
I love that.
When he uses like, get over here, I need. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
very cool.
Great.
Yeah. Shoot. It's one example I wanted to bring up of just a situation where I was just like, almost how like just the visuals are its own form of entertainment in this movie, where I'm just like blown away when the when the sandworm appears. It's insane. Like when it appears the first time in the at the spice mining facility, it's crazy. Like at first you see the sand ripple, like how you see it ripple, and then a shock wave, and then everyone sinks into it, almost like sinking sand, trying to get back to the ship. Amazing. Like during the
Yeah.
movie, I was just like, oh, and then the next thing would happen. I'm like, oh my God, this is so freaking cool. It's one of those things where I'm not like, wow, it's just like the book. I'm just seeing it on screen. This is like next level. Like, honestly, a lot of this stuff is like they took it and they ran with it. And they were like, and then I think this would happen. And wouldn't it be cool if we did this? Great filmmaking. Holy crap.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard when a book is describing something for you to quite get the vision, and sometimes it helps more. It helps to have a visionary who has a better vision of what is described would actually look like. Yeah, it's kind of one of those rare things where the movie, I don't know. I haven't read this book, so I don't know this specific example, but sometimes the movie's better than the book. Sometimes.
I actually
like more
agree
often
with you
than not,
sometimes.
the book's better. But sometimes it's just like I said, a visionary can take something and make it even cooler than how it was described. It's like, oh yeah, I get that. That makes sense.
And sometimes aspects of a movie can be better than certain aspects of the book, and it can kind of be a mismatch, and almost like one is a companion piece to the other. So you're like, okay, you'll understand the characters maybe more in the book, but you'll understand the world more in the movie. I don't know. Like it could be that. I'm not saying that's the case here, because I feel like it's actually they're kind of similar from where I'm standing. Honestly, there's not like a clear, oh, they do that so much better in the book. I don't see any clear that at this juncture, at least in this part of the book and this part of the movie. But yeah. And
Baron Harkonnen, I watched enough of the first movie to see the Baron, and man, what a different take it is.
Really?
In this new, from what I remember, he's like a monster, and he's like in this like steam environment. It's almost like he has like a what do you call it? What do they call it when you have like it's like an aquarium, but you put like lizards in it, and you like it has to like stay warm for them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Terrarium. It's like his own terrarium. It's like a tropical terrarium. Anyways, this is very weird in the David Lynch movie. But this Baron I like so much better. He's so much more menacing, and like you understand like who he is, and like that crazy thing where he like goes up on his tail or whatever the crap that thing is.
Yeah,
really cool. I like that because it's a very original. It's an enemy that's menacing, but at the same time, you're not doing Darth Vader. You're not doing Darth Maul. You're not doing the classic sci-fi ones where there's horns or he's got a crazy voice. It's like no, it's like he did his own voice and he did very different costume, and he's menacing in his own like slug like weird way, but it's
perfect,
also he's
perfect
not
word slug.
Yeah, he's not Jabba either though.
Exactly.
He's his own thing, he's not. Just I like that.
Yeah, when he goes and he slices the what's his title's name? He's basically like their doctor or whatever, but they have like certain abilities too. When he slices his head off, he's like, that's a menacing situation. Wellington. Yeah, when he freaking like flies. I didn't even like they're probably getting to stuff that I haven't gotten to. What's his name?
Yui, Wellington Yui.
Yeah.
Not the doctor.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just he's a really cool villain. Yeah, he's not Jabba. There is something that's actually different about it, and couple characters.
I'm a little like, to go back to what you were saying before. I'm a little sad that I'm so glad this movie came out, but it runs into that thing where it's compared to so many other sci-fi stories. Like that was one of the things you started off with,
right?
Was it's a tale we've heard before, and you're exactly right.
Story, yeah.
It's just frustrating because this book was done so long ago and it was original. It took someone like Mr. Villanueva to take this story and put his own spin on it and make it cinematic and make it as grand as the books are and as epic. And now trying to turn it into this universe with all these other like tales to the side of it. And I certainly hope it works. But yeah, it's just I can't help but just feel bad that it's going to be the same kind of thing from Star Trek. Like, oh, the captain was chosen. It's going to be the same thing from Star Wars. Like,
Yeah,
oh, the
yeah.
final Jedi, and Luke is the chosen one to bring bring back the Jedi.
I feel like we might be building, like I did say that, and I don't want to sound too reductive because there might be something a little different they're doing here. I mean, it is a chosen one thing, but there is
No, I mean,
a
I think
certain
it is.
kernel
I'm just
here.
saying it will be compared to that. Nothing.
Right.
It's sad because, as we've said, like this story came, before that, and
Mm-hmm.
this is what a lot of other things were founded on. People reading this book and then going on to create their own sci-fi tale, and
Mm-hmm.
just it's sad that now it gets that comparison being brought to the modern era in a good way.
Right. I mean, and also this one, it's like it is a little bit of a twist on it, where it's like what it's leading up right to right now, and the movie that we're seeing is like, what if it's bad to be the chosen one? What if me being the chosen one means genocide? It's like they're kind of building up and asking questions like that, even as it's almost foreboding. It's like when it's
Yeah.
not like being a Jedi. We're like, cool, I can't wait to see Luke do a flip and be a Jedi. And this one, you're like, I don't know. I'm kind of worried, and so there's a little bit something that differentiates it here. It's a little bit of a darker tale, it seems. Very interested to see how it goes. I'm not the kind of I'm not spoiled for the story Dune. Like, seeing what unfolded here was my first time once it got past the spice mine, and the sandworm incident. Seeing, it's funny because I was like, shoot, I wish I continued a little bit more, because that's like right before the ish hits the fan, where
Yeah.
where House Atreides basically gets wiped out. And so, shoot.
Yeah.
um, yeah, there's a lot of exciting stuff here. A lot of characters that I can't wait to see continue. I think Javier Bardem. I was like, we were just talking about this. Either me or you, or it was Amber and I, were just talking about how, like, whatever happened to him. It's been a while since I've seen him, and he shows up here doing a pretty cool performance. I was into it.
He's in a new Lucy movie.
Oh, is he? Is he
So
like Ricky or something?
he's Ricky.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
So I was just looking at that as we were talking earlier.
All right, back in the
Interesting.
game.
Yeah, I guess he's doing a lot more stuff now.
He's hanging out with Josh Brolin again from No Country for Old Men days. Well, cool. Is there anything else you want to say before we move on?
I mean, just a lot of great performances. I mean, I just have a lot of praise. I mean, there's
Yeah.
not a lot of negatives I have here for this. It was a lot better than I expected it to be, honestly. But it's kind of, it lives in this funny place where it's exactly what I thought it would be, but if it makes sense, it's also better than I thought it would be. It's like it was in the style, like it told the tale that I thought it would kind of tell. But at the same time, just like the quality and like how my interest was piqued throughout, was more than I was expecting. And
Yeah.
it just I think it comes from a good script. Like, I mean, obviously casting's important, but man, if you don't have the right words and the right direction for the right cast, like it just can go south so quickly. And
Right.
we've seen those kind of movies where it's like, this is a great cast, this should work, and it doesn't. And this was definitely not that. I yeah, and just I mean, Zendaya, like, she plays a tiny little part. Like, it's kind of funny how
Yeah.
much she's in the trailer. But
Yeah.
I'm assuming she's going to be like basically a co-star in the next movie.
Yes.
But it's just funny how she's in like every trailer as like a central image of like her. I saw a vision of a girl, or a dream. I dreamed of a girl, and
A lot of
she's
posing.
basically not
do.
even in the movie. Like, Oscar Isaac should have been featured in that trailer a lot more, because
Right.
it's a lot more about what he goes through, and then Rebecca Ferguson, obviously. So yeah, just a great cast. Just really enjoyed this. Enjoyed it a lot.
One thing I will, my hope for the next one, something that was, I think, added here that is not in the book, but I think this is an improvement. The book is very, very cold, and there's a few characters here that I think add some much needed warmth and life to the whole thing, which is Duncan Idaho, obviously Jason Momoa's character, and also Gurney, played by Josh Brolin. I think they're written to be a little bit more affable. I think in this movie, like there are a little bit more moments of humor where every moment of humor basically that's in this movie is either not in the book or not played for humor. Like the moment of the spitting or whatever, like, oh, it's a sign of respect. That was played for laughs in the movie, which was funny. I thought it was actually like, oh, this is a good moment of levity. It's not played that way in the book at all. It's actually like a scary moment or whatever. But I think, yeah, have some moments where there's some fun stuff, like with the jokes that are in the trailer, like "Smile, Gurney, I am smiling." It's like that's good stuff, and it's not in the book. And I think that would be a good addition to have characters and to kind of come, and I think Zendaya might be able to do a little bit of that. She's good at her like sarcastic wit kind of humor. I think she might be able to bring some of that into the next one. Obviously, we won't have a Duncan in the next
I was
one,
going to mention that, like, we won't have Oscar Isaac or Jason Momoa in the next movie, so it'll be interesting to where that kind of dynamic comes from. What new characters they introduce. I assume we're gonna get some more characters. Not having read the book, I don't know. So
yeah, I'm sure. I haven't gotten this far, but I'm sure we're gonna be hanging out with the Freeman a lot. So yeah, you got a lot of characters you can introduce. I feel like Javier Bardem has some. You could have him do. He's a good presence. I think there could be some moments of levity, between him and Paul and Zendaya, and I can't get her name right. I'm so embarrassed, but yeah, that's my only hope moving to the future. Something that I think is a welcome addition to this telling. So I keep it going. Just because Duncan's gone, you could still have some fun.
I was just looking to see how much it's made. So it's made 332 so far worldwide. Okay. Budget estimated at 165. It's not bad. I mean, we're working with post-COVID numbers now, so it's a very different world with how much money movies make. I mean, this is a movie I think they would have hoped to make $1 billion,
right?
3 years ago, but no. Oh, it's crazy how much I feel like the Avengers like paved the way for movies like this to be like, you can get people in, like you can make those massive crazy numbers, but now like all that pavement has been ripped up, and yeah, we're on an old cobbly road now, just trying to bring together enough to, in this case, I mean, they doubled their budget, so
right,
not too bad.
They're grading on a curve, as you said. So
as we've said before, I want these movies to happen, but they have to make a ton of money. So
right,
they film in freaking Jordan. Like it's gonna take a lot to like get all that equipment over from Legendary Entertainment, Warner Brothers, all the way over to the country of Jordan and film all this out in the desert. So
yeah,
you got to have a huge payday at the end to like justify all that. So.
Right. I'm glad they saw that, okay, this is pretty good for now. This justifies the part two. I'm glad they came to that decision.
Like it says, gross U.S. and Canada, 85.
It's pretty measly for this kind of movie.
That's crazy. I mean, it used to be you'd make more than that in a weekend, right? In that opening weekend. Like 100 million was like pretty standard for like a really, a movie that did very well.
Right.
I mean, Spider-Man 2, like back in the day, it did like 120.
Yeah.
Way back in like 2004 or 5 or whatever that was.
Right. Hopefully this next Spider-Man is going to help pave the way as well. I mean, a lot of hype surrounding that. So probably going to be the biggest one this year, I'd imagine.
So much hype. The stuff IGN puts out about this movie are just, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane what all they talk about this.
I haven't seen this kind of hype around Spider-Man in a very, 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 very long time, if ever. So
they just keep talking about how much is in it. It's like, oh my God, like, this sounds like it needs to be a 6-hour movie.
Right. All right. Speaking of Marvel, I think
of Marvel.
Right. We're moving on to Eternals. So this one's a lot more recent on both of our minds, obviously.
Yep.
Last night you saw it, so super fresh for you. How was your theater, by the way? Was it a lot of people in there? Or?
No, So Tuesday is like value day, Regal Crown Club value day.
Right. Yes.
It was half off tickets. I did not know that when I was going on Tuesday. I'm like buying the normal price tickets. I'm like, wait a minute, there's like a value button. Maybe I should hit that. Okay, so I'll tell you a little thing. Like for some reason, the Regal app now will not even let me sign in to the Regal app itself. So I had to buy these tickets on the website.
Oof.
For some reason, I could sign into my account just fine through Safari on my iPhone, but not through the app. It just kept saying you cannot sign in at this time, even though the password worked perfectly well on the website. So
2008.
that was a weird experience using a website to buy stuff.
Right.
So when we sat down, like there was these like 3 college age kids, full brightness on their phone, scrolling through pictures,
God.
like showing each other pictures and just hooting and hollering about the pictures. One dude's like feeding them like candy, like, oh, you got to try this one. Oh, it's strawberry, it's cherry. It was the wildest thing I've seen in a while. And like I started recording it, like just so I could show it to you later. But there is a happy ending to this story. So literally as the movie like starts, whatever the beginning little thing starts, they like went completely silent, like shut up and didn't say anything.
Okay.
But like all through the trailers, like full brightness, like leaning over, showing like the girl next to him. Like I think they had switched phones and were looking through each other's camera roll. Is it like what I guess they got? I don't know how the guy next to me who was directly behind them wasn't like just so PO'd at that.
It's definitely a moment
annoying.
where it's just oh no. What am I getting myself into here?
But yeah, it was not very busy. It was, there was probably 10 other people. We were in a smaller theater. We were over in the Butler Theater.
Okay.
So a little smaller theater. Those stadiums, I think, are a little smaller in there. But I mean, it's also a Tuesday, so
yeah,
never going to be as busy. But also, like, very well anticipated movie.
Right.
At the same time, so I
went to preview night.
Dune and Eternals, I think, are probably the 2 biggest movies so far.
I think
this
so.
Year.
I mean, I would think so.
Yeah.
Our theater was full. I did go on Thursday, the preview night, and we were in a situation where there was like a food festival thing going on in the Celebration Point area. We're like, okay, we kind of want to go to that.
It's crazy.
It gets nuts. It was
like
so
busy.
It was a trifecta because Thursday nights is like their cornhole tournament. Yeah, I know. And
I never realized that cornhole was going to become such a thing there. It's
neither did
strange.
It's always packed, and I'm like, what's going on here? And it's cornhole tournament.
Yeah.
So it was,
and it's like professional guys, like
right? And they have like an announcer,
they have like the outfits on and everything.
It's wild, man. And they had the food festival, and the latest Marvel movie, and so it was crazy. And so
trifecta.
Yeah, the trifecta, I guess.
What everyone's looking for: cornhole, food, and the latest Marvel movie.
Of course. And we wanted to go to the food festival, and we weren't at a very inconvenient time if we wanted to do that. So we're like, well, maybe we could just change our ticket. No, all but sold out. Like just the cheap seats were available for each showing. So not an option. We're like, okay, well, we have to just kind of settle with the time that we have, which was
just eat some Cheetos and get into the movie.
Yeah, I wish I had Cheetos. But yeah, so full theater. I was surprised to see that. I did not think that this would be the one to have that kind of experience. I guess like we're further down the road as far as COVID's concerned, I guess. But like, yeah, it seemed like a fuller audience than what I experienced in like, say, Shang-Chi or Black Widow. But so here we are. Just interesting to talk about. Let's get into the movie. Luke, fresh on your mind, what did you think of Eternals?
Oh boy. Eternals, yeah. This one's not high on my list. It's certainly not, I think, the worst movie. I enjoyed things about it, but there was a lot that left me wanting more. And I can't help but think as I was watching it that it really came down to like really a directorial thing. It was like there was choices in the way the story was laid out, and even the way some of it was filmed. I was just like, that's not a Marvel movie, and it's just not appealing to me. So yeah, uh, very middle of the road, if not maybe even less for me on this one.
Okay. Um, yeah, I like this one quite a bit. Kind of shocked. I don't know anything about Eternals. I was kind of just mildly looking forward to this, as in like, oh, okay, let's see it. A new Marvel thing. Like the cast. Let's check it out. See what, I mean, nothing about it was like screaming, you're going to like this a lot, Jordan. Um, so I was kind of stunned by it. Okay, I did have the experience. We talk about this sort of thing a lot on the podcast of when you come in knowing the reception of a movie. I knew that, oh, this movie has a pretty negative score and a lot of people aren't liking it. So I was kind of like, oh boy, kind of coming into it like, uh-oh. And so I don't know if that rejiggered my expectations to a point. I can't really say. But either way, like sitting through the movie, I kind of had the experience of, okay, I'm just kind of waiting for the moment where I say to myself, I'm not liking this. Because I always have that moment in a movie where I'm like, uh-oh, I'm not liking this. And for like instance with Wonder Woman, that happened like 15 minutes into the movie where I was like, uh-oh, something's wrong.
Yep.
And so I kept
Aquaman, it was about 15 seconds for me.
and so I kept kind of waiting for that to happen for me to be like, I don't like this, but that moment really never came. That being said, I feel like this movie has some pretty obvious flaws that I will have to discuss during our spoiler section for sure. And I think most of them, for me personally, revolve around plot. Like when you start getting into the weeds of like the whys and the hows and the it's like,
yeah, this is very different than Dune.
Yeah,
this is a very different movie. This is a complicated story with a lot of ins and outs and weaving through history, and it did a lot in this movie.
There's a lot going on. It's a longer movie. It's 2.5 hours, and there's a lot happening. For sure, a lot is being told, and there's a lot of details, and some of which I feel like they get in the weeds a little bit there. I feel like they write themselves into a couple corners here with some of the plot aspects, which we're gonna have to talk about in spoilers, of course. But other than that, I mean, I enjoyed a lot of things about it for sure. I enjoyed something I was not expecting to enjoy. Like I thought this was going to be the weakest part of the movie. It ended up being something where I was like, yeah, this worked for me. Was the characters. I actually liked them. I was kind of surprised at that. Like there's not like a lot there. Like a lot of it is shorthand. It's crazy because it's 10 characters. It's like the nerve to kind of even do that, where she probably would have been smarter cutting it down to half, honestly, to say we're going to have 5 Eternals instead of 10. We're going to introduce them and fully flesh them out. Instead, most of these characters are told with shorthand, and so we're not giving and stuff like that can be done, but it's really hard to give like that many characters character arcs. Like for instance, I talked about how impressed I am with how many characters got character arcs in a movie like School of Rock, where it's like there's a ton of characters and a lot of them got character arcs. I mean, obviously they didn't have to contemplate existence and all living throughout all of mankind's history and stuff like that, of course, so they had to have a lot of room for plot here. But what a tall order. How ambitious can you get? Maybe too ambitious. I don't know. But either way, I kept feeling throughout the movie where I'm like, enough of this is working. I'm going with it. I'm feeling like I can go with these characters, even though I can't tell you a ton about each and every Eternal, especially some of them who show up late in the movie, where I'm like, all I know about you is your like kind of quirky thing about you and your power.
There's that quick little thing at the beginning.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
I really didn't like the setup at all in the beginning. It's like this little like story like explaining who they are, and then like there's this like dot 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 until one mission. Like, what? Was that a different mission, or is that the one we're actually witnessing now? Like right off the bat, I'm kind of confused by the whole like setup to it. And then we just like launch right in. It felt honestly, it felt a little DC to me. I felt confused right off the bat, and that pretty much never happens in a Marvel movie for me. It's usually like they lay it out very easy for you. It's not like some indie film where they're like there's a bunch of innuendos and like hidden meanings and stuff. Like, no, Marvel movies are pretty straightforward. Here's our character. Here's somebody you know from another movie, and they're going to help out during some of this stuff, and then you're going to like understand through some flashbacks and some storytelling and like some reflection moments who this person is and what they're doing and why they're doing it. There wasn't a lot of that. I mean, there was
Right.
somewhat, but I think it's partially because there were so many characters, so they were forced to like just spend tiny little moments with each person to like have you understand. Um,
I wonder
and I
if
think for that reason
sorry.
it suffered, and that I think that was one of the reasons I didn't like it as much, is because they didn't have those moments that they have with the other like Captain Marvel, where like you really understood like who she was and where she came from and like what fueled her, and
Yeah.
what when as she fit in with the Avengers later on, like where she was, what she was doing, like and the reason why she wanted to be like this intergalactic policeman. um,
I wonder if like there was ever any talks about this potentially have been a Disney Plus show. And maybe they
yeah,
were like looking at some of the things they wanted to do and they were like,
that would
we
be
don't
hard to
have the
do that
budget.
too
It hard, yeah.
with
This is
10
a
characters.
yeah. There's a
It's
lot
just
of big things in this movie that
challenging.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it is challenging, and the question is, yeah, could they have? I guess they could have done it differently to where they just had less in the movie, maybe, and were able to kind
Yeah,
of be a bit more concise and pinpoint. So I think your mileage may vary here, as far as how your experience is going to be watching this movie. Because like I think you're right. Like as you said, like some of the plot stuff, you're like, huh? There's some things in this movie that I'm like, I still have questions about, which I'm like, not because like, and I don't think it's an issue where I have questions because the movie is confusing and overly complicated. I actually don't think it is. I think there's some ways that sometimes they tell a story in a certain way and it makes something that shouldn't be complicated, you know?
yeah, that's exactly what I mean. It's like it's not a crazy complicated, but it's like the way you worded it and then where you jumped from one scene to the next is like, wait, what? Why are we here now? It was just like, what?
Right.
Yeah. And then like, I mean, looking back on the movie, it's like, okay, that makes sense. That was there. But it reminds me a little bit of, it's different, but the Witcher TV show. It's like I just came away from it just being like, I understand the entire story now that I've watched the whole show, but I
Hmm.
don't like it. Like I don't
Presented to
like the
you in
way
that
that I had
way.
to come to that conclusion.
Right.
Um, I want to the whole time I'm watching something be like, oh man, I can't wait till they show that. And then the scene comes and it's like, oh yes, okay. Now I understand that character more because of that you shown. Instead, it was like, wait, what? And then it wasn't until the end of the scene you'd be like, oh, okay. Now I understand. Now I understand why we jumped to 270 BC when we were in
Right.
2020.
Yeah.
Like, okay. But yeah. I have a hard time remembering back to exactly specific scenes. I think you have a little bit better memory with that, but I just remember early on in the movie, it just like it moved from one thing to the next. Just like, what? Just, yeah, I don't know. It just there was so much about it. And like I said, even some of the times, like some of the way she filmed it was just like that just isn't pleasing to my eye for some
Mm.
reason. Like in the same way we praise Dune, the way it was shot, it didn't feel polar opposite, but it felt much less appealing to me in Eternals.
I see.
I don't know why that was exactly. It just something a little intangible about the cinematography.
Um, how did you? Something I I'm curious to see what you think about this. Like, how did you feel about this isn't an action heavy movie. I wouldn't say there's action in it, for sure. There's some
Yeah.
big action scenes. When the action did ramp up, did that something that what appealed to you? Like, did you enjoy the action when it was presented to you?
Not as much as I have in other Eternals movies or in other Eternals movies, other Marvel movies. I don't know. It just was there was something about when like even Icarus, he would be like firing. It just felt so weak. It felt like he could fire over and over again. And it was like the beast or whatever would just kind of brush it off. And there was something
Mm,
that didn't feel strong enough to me. What's Kumal Nanjiani's character, Kingo, even when he was like firing, it was like it wasn't until he like charged up his shot, got right. Well, I guess this land in spoiler
no, not
territory?
really. We're just it's a power. It's not like we're
But
saying
yeah,
a
like
specific plot
Kingo, it's
thing.
like he charges up and like gets right under and like blows the head of one of them off. It was like the only time it really felt like, okay, what he can do is significant. But it took him like 30 seconds to like
Right.
charge up this shot. And it's really cool. Like Kingo's a really cool character, but he didn't seem menacing at all to me. It felt like he was like just like playing with like, oh, like knocking him back. It was like he had his gun set on stun or something. It's just I didn't like the way that felt. And so it felt like these battles were just them firing over and over again, knocking them back. And then it would take like even in the beginning sequence, it took like all of them coming together and like all like knocking the thing at once to kill it. And
Yeah, I have some
it was like I
questions.
feel like they were set up to be these heroes that were Thor level, you know, Iron Man level, and even then some,
Right.
because they had like this energy in them. And you see that in the end, obviously, but it just didn't feel like that for so much of the movie that I just kind of got frustrated because I wanted them to be stronger and I felt this weakness.
I have some questions about that when we go into spoiler. I don't know if that is it's a problem, I think, then it's that they could have resolved easily in this movie. I'd like to definitely go into that. I got like I think like I am a sucker for team hero things. Like I know that this has been done really well in Avengers, but like also like I don't know, I got not only like funny you mentioned DC. I got like a DC vibe, especially because like the power sets with Justice
Yeah.
League
Yeah.
for sure. And so I got
Or even Suicide Squad.
or even Suicide
Yeah.
Squad. And funny also like I almost this sounds like a damnation. I don't mean it to be. For me, this is something I kind of like seeing, but a Power Ranger vibe here and there. I don't know if it's the color coordinated suits or whatever, but something there that definitely
Yeah.
appealed to me when seeing him in action. I kind of enjoy. It's weird having like certain characters like such a vast difference in
I mean,
able
they
they
have
are.
each their own colored armor. So yeah, you get a
Yeah,
Power Ranger vibe.
definitely some Mighty Morphin Power Rangers vibes going on there, which I enjoy. Uh, but I think we've dug into this enough without getting into spoilers. Is there anything you want to say before we dive into spoilers?
No, let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah, from what you were saying earlier about how it's like they almost seem like you're like looking at these deviants and you're like, yeah, I kind of feel like Cap could take one of these out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a problem to where it's like we've only seen the Eternals either fight deviants or each other. And so it's
Yeah.
like how powerful are the deviants? It would have been nice to see like
Yeah.
something else that's supposed to be powerful fight a deviant and fail, or them take
Yeah.
on humans, like regular humans, and be like, "Oh my gosh, the Eternals are really
You could have thrown
powerful."
an Avenger in here.
Right. I
At
think
least one.
you easily could have. I mean, this is a very almost like solo feeling kind of movie to where you do definitely feel not so I mean it's obviously a solo movie, but like as far as like a hero showing up, which they tend to do these days.
Winter Soldier, I think. He could have
Right.
played a nice little role in here.
Right. And so you don't get really anyone showing up. But I feel like it'd be good to have a power comparison to be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Like, you don't know because these guys didn't show up. Obviously, they talk about how they didn't show up in the fight against Thanos or whatever, which I feel like it would behoove them to show up for that fight. But regardless,
That's another thing. I could really get into that for a little while.
yeah, that's one
The
of the
whole
plot things.
justification. You want me to get into that?
Get into it.
We can do a little rant here. So like, in the trailer, I remember IGN like saying like, "Oh, so why did they not show up for Thanos?" In the new trailer, there's a teasing of the reasoning why.
Yeah.
Okay. Their reasoning is that they've been instructed to not interact in human conflict. Okay, sure, that's fine. But then they interact in human conflict throughout this entire freaking movie. Especially the one guy that like controls minds. But like they're in all these battles, all these flashbacks are them there in the thing. Fighting deviants right in the conflict. Like, so people would know them, people would have talked about them. It's just I don't get it. I really don't get it. It's not a good enough justification to me. Like you would think what's his freaking name, Druig, you would think he would have shown up at some point during this whole thing. Like if he ever needed to help humans, like his whole reasoning was without humans flaws, like they would not be who they are. But at the same time, like Thanos, it's different. It's not human conflict. Like Thanos is a Titan. He's not a human. It's not human to human contact. It has nothing to do with like the development of humans. It has to do with all of humanity throughout the entire universe. So it's still like, I still just didn't get it. That didn't really make sense to me. It's not the same thing as what they were actually talking about in the movie. So yeah, I had a major problem with that.
I think there could have been a way, like they could have avoided this. I don't know if this would have been good enough for some people. It may have worked for me. I don't know. It depends on how it was told, how it was executed. But they shouldn't have even gone that route, because I think honestly, like, it would have behooved them to be involved. I mean, yeah, an outside threat for one, and also it's like the extinction of 50% of the population is a very big problem for not only them, but for the Celestials and their big plan. That's bad,
Yeah.
And so like,
yeah, where's that intelligent life that you were going to consume so that you can continue?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
And so I would have just done like it happened so fast. They've been living in secrecy for millennias, and the events of Infinity War happened over the course of like a day, and they were just as surprised as everyone else. I don't know. That for me, that would have been like, oh, okay, I guess you wouldn't have known who. I mean, it's not like you guys are always keeping tabs on the Avengers and all their workings or whatever, but yeah, I don't know. That would be better for me, because honestly, it's like they're looking at like at the end of the movie, like Erishim's like, let me see if humanity's worth saving. They resurrected half the population of the universe.
Yeah.
That's
the thing. Like they
universe.
It doesn't seem like they put enough weight on what like actually happened. Like we're not talking about like, oh, the whole planet, there was half the people got no, everywhere.
Yeah.
Shut up. Everywhere.
That screws, like, regardless of what Celestial's popping out of what planet, what Thanos did screws it up for all of them. And so like for them to undo that, it's like, yep, where are they? I don't care. I don't care about World War II. That's fine. They did this insane thing. And so yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, that's not that, it's honestly,
either don't address it or give me an argument that's perfect. That's what I say.
I agree. I do agree. I mean, this is something we've had to worry about in a lot of different Marvel movies as to why Thor doesn't show up or why Iron Man wouldn't show up in this situation. This is one of the biggest ones we have, because we have characters like the Eternals and who are powerful and big protectors. And yeah, there's almost not an excuse that would really work, and so it is kind of like, well, we haven't made that movie yet, you know what I mean? And so it's no, I am 100% with you on that. Can we talk about some of these characters here and there? I I want to get into some plot things that I don't think make sense, but what are the characters who worked the most for you?
Um, it may come as a surprise, but I really liked Angelina Jolie. I thought she
Mhm.
had a really good presence as Thena. Probably Icarus and Thena. Those are probably my favorite. Cersei was pretty good. Selma Hayek, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
she
think
was.
it's her age. It's just she seemed a little old for that character. I guess that was the idea that she was, a more experienced
A maternal
eternal,
figure,
which
like,
doesn't make any sense because they don't age. So I don't
right.
know. It's how they were made, I guess. Um, I love Kumail Nanjiani.
Hmm.
I didn't like him in this movie.
Really?
I
Okay.
love him. I think he's just the best. He's such a warm guy. I think he works so well in every comedy I've seen him in. I just I don't know. His character was too goofy, and it didn't seem to like add to the team that much to me. And I wanted him to be more important. I didn't feel like he was very important. I hate saying it.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Okay.
I adore him as an actor. Didn't like his character in this movie, unfortunately.
I liked him. He wasn't my favorite though. He wasn't like up there for me. I like Gilgamesh a lot. I feel like, I have some affection for that actor. He was a really cool character in Train to Busan, that Korean zombie movie. He
Yeah,
was cool here. I was like, that was one of the points where I was
I would
like
agree.
kind of like, when I was not sad, but kind of like disappointed to see him go. I was like hoping, like during that fight, I was like, I'm getting all the feelings of a character who's about to die. I'm getting that feeling the way this is
Yep.
staged. And then when it happened, I was like, man, I kind of wanted him to
Yep.
continue on. I liked he didn't like have a lot to do. All he was like the protector of Thena. And he just kind of had a goofy presence to him. He didn't take himself too seriously. I kind of enjoyed him when he shows up in the cook outfit, and when he's like, they're like expecting some big thing. He's like, hey guys, it's about time you showed up. And then like when Sprite does her hologram thing, turns him into a baby. He's like, yep, I'm a baby or whatever. I don't know. I just liked
That
them. I don't
the
know.
CGI in that scene, oof,
Well, when she
it
did
was
that,
rough.
yeah.
She looked CGI, and then he really that it was like, wow, that is like a complete like green screen mapping of his body, like trying to like match the movements. Like it looked like it was completely done After Effects. It was like he's standing there and he's like moving around, and then they went in and yeah, I don't know. It just
See,
oof.
you're better at noticing that sort of stuff than I
I
am.
noticed that bad in that one.
I usually notice that stuff upon second viewing. There's only one effect in this movie where I was like, "Oh God!" And it's Pip the Troll. If you can't guess, it is definitely Pip the Troll. Which I was like,
Terrible,
"Oh my
terrible CGI.
God!" Like I was
It's like they just got like one of the interns to do that.
really bad.
Oof.
um,
And it's
Druid,
it's what's his name, and it's like
yeah, Patton
I can't
Oswald.
remember. Yeah, Patton Oswalt. It's like this is his first time in the Marvel universe, and that's how he's introduced.
It
Like,
looks awful.
oh,
Like
Patton, I'm so sorry for you, man.
they gotta improve that. If this character is going to reappear with the
Oh
arrows or
my
whatever,
gosh.
that's gotta improve. That is
It reminds
horrible.
me of the first Thanos. The
Right
first
at
Thanos
the end
as
of
well was
Avengers,
like,
yeah.
hmm. We thought it was fine back then, but I mean that was 2012.
They're
Yep.
gonna
They improved a lot on that over the years. So
change that. I don't know if that was like a last minute, like we don't have enough time.
it
I
seemed
don't know.
like it. It really
It's
seemed like
bad.
just throw him in.
Right. Funny, I didn't expect to like this character. I was expecting to hate him. I like Druig. Druig was like kind of like the
That's the next one I was going to complain about.
yeah. I kind of like he was like a kind of a little prick.
What I didn't like, I'll get real specific because I mean I get what you're saying, how you liked him. What I didn't like was that it felt like he was going to be more menacing, and you never got that payoff.
No, yeah, he never had a turn to where he's like, and I'm bad, or
Well, he
I'm
was he was when he turned when they're at the was it the Aztecs, I guess, were burning down wherever they were.
yeah.
And he turned and was like, oh, he's leading the humans off. But then, like the rest of the movie, I don't know. that actor himself, like he has this kind of bad guy esque way about him. Like
His eyes.
I think he'll play like some really good like villains later in life
We saw him in
because
Green
he has
Knight.
that presence. Yeah, did
It's very creepy.
as this tiny little character.
Weren't enough.
But
Weren't enough.
I'll finish your quest for you. Yeah, it's just like I wanted him to be more menacing. I wanted him to be like he really went to the other side and started really interfering in things. But then you like see him, he's in the Amazon, he's got his own little like tribe, and he's like, well,
It's like,
I thought about controlling everyone, then I was like, no, I'm good. So I wanted him to be something different from the way they like I'm like, oh, we've got a like real rogue on our hand. No, that's not how it was.
Right.
So
I think like what you like, we're talking about certain things that make a good character a good character. You're talking about like things that you'd want as far as motivation that unfortunately isn't really here. Where they don't spend time on it. Like they'll do things like I'm talking like, oh yeah, I like his like just kind of the way, like I like his performance and the characterization. But
you're describing why I didn't like this movie, Jordan.
right. Some of the characterization of a lot of things, like a lot of these characters are good, but the motivation, it's like, oh, we didn't have time to talk about Druid, so he's just gonna say, oh, I would be taking away the thing that I love about humanity or whatever, and just do shorthand, and you're either going to be able to forgive that and it be okay, or a lot of people no. And I get it. I really do. I really do understand that. Like there are certain things with you would expect with Thena. There's another example of this. Like Thena's cool. You like her because she's a fighter, and it's like when she fights Icarus, it's like cool because she's awesome. It's a really good characterization. How she's like, I've always wanted to fight you. You know, that's cool. But you would expect the thing with the Mad Weary to kind of come to a head in a more satisfying way than I remember.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's where it's at. It's just gonna.
That's another thing. Like since you mentioned it, I'll go ahead and say it. They built that deviant up so freaking much. They built him up and they built him up, and then he just got sliced into 5 pieces by Thena there at the end. It's like, okay, I guess that's the end of that.
This is a plot thing. This is my biggest problem of the movie. The deviants. When I talked about them writing themselves into a corner, I was talking about the deviants, because it gets to a certain point where it's like, it's actually doing a really good job of everything that they're doing, but oops, we forgot about the deviants. It's like everything going on where it's like, no, we can't do this. And Icarus is like, I'm going to kill all of you, or whatever he's doing. That's probably the best stuff in the movie. And then like the deviant shows up and he's like, hello. And I'm like, oh,
the Ultron deviant.
Yeah, the Ultron deviant.
Exactly. So much like
very
Ultron.
much so. We forgot about you. And then Athena just takes him into a cave and just kills him real quick. No, that's a problem. That's probably my biggest issue with the movie, which I'm like, you needed to give this more time in the writing room or whatever, because I get that like the deviants are like the red herring. That's the thing you think is the threat.
Very much the red herring.
Yeah, this is the thing that you're going to have the action scenes about early on. So it gives you your action, gives you the, I think this is the thing that we're supposed to do, but ends up being oh, this isn't the threat. Yep. I get it. And that's
Icarus
fine.
Icarus is the whole thing.
Icarus is the whole thing. Infighting is the whole thing. And I get it. That's fine. But you have to have especially if you're going to have this if you're going to keep the deviants as these monsters, that probably would have worked better, rather than to have this one who's like, I'm absorbing your powers, and to show up at the end and be like, I'm going to kill all you Eternals. And no, you shouldn't have done that. Just have them be a bunch of monsters, a bunch of mindless monsters that they have to fight. And then at the end, kind of do this. And you can kind of be like, oh, I think we killed them all, but oh no, this is happening, you know, then you wouldn't have this problem where he just shows up at the end and it's like he just barges into their fight. It's just so funny where it's like, what? Oops, we forgot about this. Yeah.
It was so weird.
Yeah, that is eyebrow raising moment where you're like, we forgot about that plot detail. I guess we have to wrap this up real quickly. Oopsie daisy.
Can we say sweet reunion of Game of the Thrones?
No
as well?
kidding, man.
For some reason I don't know why. I guess this makes me sound stupid, but Kit Harington came up at the beginning and it didn't dawn on me who he was. I don't know why.
Oh, really?
Because I hadn't seen him since Game of Thrones. I'm like, I definitely know that guy, but I can't remember what he was from. He wasn't dirty enough, I guess.
Yeah, he needed dirt all over his face and be wearing
basically
a big...
the entire Game of Thrones. He was dirty.
Yeah.
And Richard Madden, obviously. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get...
Those two guys are great.
They are really good. And I think I like to say this. I in my way of thinking, I think this cast is pretty rock solid. Like, I think regardless of the characterization or whatever, I think the actors do a great job. I think what I'm talking about, like what I'm liking, a lot of that, some of that's writing, but a lot of it's the acting where I'm just liking what this actor's doing with the little that they're given, I guess, a lot of this time. But
they're definitely good actors. I don't know if they all fit in their roles.
With Richard Madden, did you ever not think that he was up to something?
I'm not the greatest at picking up on twists early, honestly.
I think with me, this actor is kind of like, I think he's playing, like in a lot of things I've seen him recently, he's playing the bad guy more often now these days. At least what I've seen him more recently. Maybe I'm just thinking about Rocket Man, which he was in that Elton John movie. He was playing a really, really nasty character.
I never saw it. Yeah.
So maybe I'm just thinking about that, and I'm just thinking he's doing that same accent that he did. And I was just like, for some reason, I was like, I don't fully trust you for a while. And then when the reveal happens that he killed Ajax.
1917 was the most recent thing.
Was he in that? That's right. He wasn't mean in that, so.
No, he was not a Nazi. So no, he was not mean in that.
That mean.
He was one of the allies.
My 6. Did you enjoy? I'm just like going around asking. Did you enjoy this? Did you like his? Did you like Kingo's valet?
Oh yeah, that was great. That was more classic Marvel. That I was just like, man, wish there was more of this.
Right. This is definitely one of the more serious Marvel movies. There's not a lot. There's humor, but there's not like a ton. Like in Marvel movies these days, it's like almost every scene there's some sort of humor going on. They'll cut to something which will be there to make you laugh. But it's here to where I don't feel like this movie's dour. I really don't. But it's not as often for sure.
Yeah. You need some of that. I mean,
definitely.
You need more of that, I think, than this had, and there was just points at which it got too flat, I guess. That comedy, I don't know what it is. It's one of those intangibles that a movie gives you, and you know, it's like the sugar in a recipe. It just once it's in there, it's like this movie appeals to me a lot more, and yeah, they're just, you know, as funny as that guy was, whatever his name is, Harish Patel. You know, there wasn't enough of those moments. It was just too much conflict about the humans, and you know, this is our mission, and why were we sent here, and you know, I need this vision. I don't know. It's just. I don't know. There's so many things that just frustrate me about the movie. I'm having a hard time putting them into words exactly. It was just scene after scene, and just like, this is not what I want it to be. Like, it's not that I'm hating what I'm watching. It's just not the Marvel movie I came for. In the best way I can put it.
What did you think of the main conflict of the movie? Like the whole thing with the Celestials and how Earth, you know,
I've thought about that a lot. I don't know who's right, you know, honestly, when I think about it. You know, I guess there's the idea, you know, you save the life that you know instead of the life that you don't know. So, in that way, I guess I would agree with the Eternals. I know you actually meant like, what did I think about it along with the movie? But
No, no, the moral
I also like,
conundrums good to talk about too.
yeah, I was thinking about it in the movie. I'm like, this is like, the first time in a Marvel movie I will say that they've set up something that I wasn't sure when they presented. I'm like, maybe they shouldn't save Earth,
Mm,
which is like, obviously they will, but yeah, it's like, wow, like billions of lives will come of the destruction of Earth. But like I said, I think when it comes down to morality, I think you do save the life that you know instead of the life that could be that you don't know. Because I mean, you could almost address that in anything. It's like,
right.
what could have been? Well, it's like, well, anything could have been. We could talk about what could have been till the cows come home. It's not going to change anything. But if you're going to save a life in front of you, then what will become of, saving that life. So
Yeah. And
I think in the end, I think that they made the right decision.
yeah, and I think like also it's that Earth compared to this Earth where we're talking about like what they have accomplished, the fact that they saved half the universe. We might need that sort of thing
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
There's way too
Exactly.
valuable to lose.
Also, where are the Avengers?
Where are the Avengers?
Where are the freaking Avengers?
I
Like,
was
the
like,
entire Earth is shaking, and there's this giant celestial bursting from the seams out of the Earth.
yeah. I was half expecting like Doctor Strange to like come flying in to be like, what is
Spider-Man's not
this?
like getting talked to by whatever the global satellite system that Iron
Right.
Man set up.
Or Captain Marvel. Okay, this movie
Iron
has
suit around the world.
yeah. This movie has pointed out something to me that like frustrates me with Captain Marvel. I know we're talking about freaking Captain Marvel in this. I like that movie just fine, but like
Well, she fits right in with the Eternals, so I mean,
she
it
really
makes sense.
does. Um that it is not like something that I even though I like Captain Marvel a lot, there's something about Captain Marvel as a hero that sometimes rubs me the wrong way. I sometimes get tired or not tired or just annoyed with the whole thing where it's like, oh, there's plenty of planets out there. You're nothing special. That whole thing where it's like, you're an Earthling. I know you have amnesia or whatever, but
We spawned the Avengers. We spawned Guardians of the Galaxy.
right.
We have a freaking Ant-Man that can go through time. Like, no, we
Yeah.
did some important stuff.
It's like as an audience, like that doesn't connect with me too well. Like I know that there's whatever you think about American exceptionalism or like country, whatever country. I think we can all get behind global exceptionalism, where you want at least one of the Earth's mightiest heroes to be Earth's mightiest hero. So it was nice to be like, no, we like the Earth, and be like, yeah, thank you guys,
Yeah.
thank you for coming here and helping us out. We appreciate it.
I mean, literally, like Ant-Man, Dr. Pym, like he's literally the reason half the universe exists. Like if his time travel like formula didn't exist, like going through the whatever quantum zone, like, okay, you
done.
write off half the universe.
Right.
Like literally just that man alone. So
I think we got some pretty cool stuff going on. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. This whole, oh, you guys are too high and mighty over here with your Earth stuff. There's a lot of other planets over there, and I'm gonna hang out with them. You guys, oh, you think you're so cool?
also,
I'm
the
here.
only reason Captain Marvel exists is because of that energy generator that she absorbed with her body. It's the only reason she's able to do it. And guess who created that? Freaking humans.
Right.
So
go humanity. But I'm trying to think of anything else in this movie that I would like to bring up. Okay, we gotta talk about the in credit stuff, right?
indeed.
I mean, we talked about
crazy stuff.
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. I mean, we talked about Pip. I don't really have anything to say about Pip other than how bad that CGI is.
Harry Styles,
Harry
man,
Styles.
that's a weird one.
He got a cheer in my audience.
I mean,
he got a cheer, clapping and hooting and the hooting.
People were definitely
and
going
hollering.
crazy.
That
I never go crazy for those end credit scenes. I don't know why. I want to see them. I want to be educated, but I'm not getting my hopes up for whatever the next movie's gonna be.
Right.
Like, I was disappointed by Eternals, so like, Eros, like, we'll see.
Right. I have no I
It's
have
just
no
Harry Styles. I mean, come on. Like,
I
the
have
fact that
zero
they're
thoughts
going in
on that.
another direction, I can understand why people get excited about that. But at the same time, it's like, that doesn't mean it's going to become anything good. Like, chill out.
Right. If anything, it was almost cool to like it does. If anything, it does kind of make me excited because I do want to see these characters again. Like seeing the Eternals return, that is something I really want. I don't, not
I want to see them
necessarily
in a better
sequel.
movie. So yeah,
Yeah,
me too.
well, and I also not necessarily a sequel. Like it is cool, just even though I don't know these characters, but they all obviously come from a more goofy side of. I could see them fitting in with the Guardians more than anything
Yeah.
else, and to see them show up and then being like, "Who are you guys? Who are you lads?" See, Druig talk to them or whatever. It's
Quick
cool.
side note on that: is Icarus alive?
I don't know. He flew too close to the sun.
He
Way
flew straight
too
into
close.
the sun.
Way too
Like
close.
a bullet shot into the sun.
Yeah, I think I think we're to assume he's dead, but and it's always until I see a corpse.
I'm sure he's not.
Yeah, until I see a body. If I saw his skin start to disintegrate, I'd be like, he's dead.
But he probably doesn't even have skin.
Maybe
so,
not. If he's just like a robot body floating around in the sun, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. Like it seems like with the only Eternals we saw die in the movie, obviously Gilgamesh and Ajax, was because they got like their spark or whatever sucked out of them. So we haven't seen an Eternal die through
That's a good point.
normal means. Like
that is a good point.
It was weird when
the
like
deviant seems to be the only thing that can kill him so far.
Right. I mean,
good point.
We don't see any of them go through something insane and be like they survived. I mean, like Icarus shoots like Druig like into the earth, which he has mind control powers or whatever. He's not like Superman, and he's like, I got him.
He's not the Hulk. Yeah.
He's like, I got him, and he just shows up. He's like, and
they didn't even explain
Sprite with
it.
a rock.
It's just like, what up?
Right, and you almost have like a hard time believing like Sprite when she like kind of betrays the rest of them, stabs Cersei, and you kind of like it's like would that have killed her? Like it seems like
seemed like she was going to die.
She did. She really did.
But then she kind of moved on.
Well,
like the moment moved on.
You see what happens.
I know that. I know why she survived, but it's like it didn't really move directly into that immediately.
Yeah, she was still able to do what she needed to do. Yeah,
it's just like, oh, so I guess you walked that off,
right?
Because it wasn't until later that they show it heal. It's like, so you've been just bleeding internally this whole time, or
I guess so.
Whatever, bluing internally, whatever you do as a whatever internal.
Yeah, it looks like they got some blood. It looks like they got some red.
It's just the color of their oil.
Yeah, the red oil. I don't know what kind of oil that is. The final end credit scene. So we haven't talked a lot about Dane in this movie. I mean, he kind of is there in the beginning and doesn't show up until the end. I think he like.
I'm so excited for Kit Harington to be in the Marvel universe.
Me too.
I love it. He's just the best. I mean, he was the best part of Game of Thrones.
Yes,
for me, hands down. Like any scene that he was in, it was like, yes, I love this. So, yeah, to see him in the Marvel universe is just, to me, it's a match made in heaven.
Right. I'm really excited. It seems like almost like the first act of his movie was off screen during this one. So I'm excited to see that be shown, because I'm sure it is going to be shown with his uncle or whatever. He's like, that uncle you need to make peace with, do it. Like I'm excited to see who that uncle is and have the story of Black Knight or whoever, be, told to him and his destiny unraveled and all that stuff. And
the director confirmed who the voice was. Maybe you already know that.
That is very, very cool. I think that's just awesome. I mean,
it's interesting that like they don't even do the Blade movie and they already introduce another character.
Right. It's like,
isn't that interesting?
I wonder if Kit Harington's going to be in Blade. I don't know. Like, I wonder.
Only assume.
Yeah, exactly. If he's going to show up, you're going to have to see that interaction at some point and to see what
is that Blade's sword. Are we assuming that's Blade's sword?
I don't know. I mean, like, I know maybe Blade would be interested in it, or whatever and is investigating it, but it's an
Not ready for that, and then he just grabs it. I'll take that.
From what I've looked up some stuff. I don't know. I'm not going to come in here and be like, I know a bunch about the Black Knight. You know, I've looked up some stuff, and it's an ancestral sword, so it's like he can't.
The ebony blade.
Yeah, the ebony blade is like has to do directly. It ties directly with lineage, so it's a blade would not like theoretically would not be able to wield the ebony blade, and so I mean, it has something to do with where your heart's at when you wield it, whether or not you're able to do it. So maybe that's what maybe he knows about the ebony blade, and so when he says, "Are you sure you're ready for that, Mr. Whitman?" Maybe that's what he's referencing. But either way, honestly, this stuff excites me a lot. I think that's
this is the kind of thing I've been waiting on in the Marvels. Like I said, I was disappointed with this movie, but yeah, I am excited about what they've set up.
Yeah. I feel like, honestly though, and with some of it, I feel like I don't know, I guess you have to set Dane on a path, but it's like at the end of this movie, I kind of wish they didn't do the thing. As cool of a visual as it was when the clouds part and you see the sixth eye of Arashim and he takes them away, I almost kind of wish I don't know, I kind of wish they didn't do that, you know, and almost like they kind of gave some finality to this other than like, I don't know. It's a big cliffhanger for a movie like this. You know, if this was for an origin movie, it's a big cliffhanger for their first one.
It is.
I almost feel like, I don't know. I guess I don't know if they were going to do it. I don't know when else they would, but I don't know. I just have a feeling I wish they didn't end the movie that way, and we had more of a sense of finality with the Eternals. At least they're going off to warn other Eternals, and they're staying home. I don't know. It's not like I'm interested to see where it's going. It's not like it's a bad turn of events. I just wish the movie didn't end that way, I guess.
You know, one kind of unrelated thing that I was just thinking about all these characters. You know what a big deal was made about Kumal and his like transformation?
Yep.
After seeing this movie, he didn't need to do all that.
Yeah. Not a really big, there's no shirtless scene.
I mean, look at Brian Tyree Henry. Like he just looks normal. He looks like a normal dude, like the tech guy, you know.
Yeah.
Bastos.
We didn't talk about him. He was good. Yeah, no, he didn't need to do it. These are like normal people with powers, which I actually kind of
Gilgamesh. Like, I mean, he just looked like a normal dude.
I kind of like that. Like they did, like, honestly, you know, this is, you know, I talk about this a lot every now and then. This is, I think, how you do the whole diverse cast thing. Like, they're not like, we're making a big deal about it. They just do it. And it's like, these are normal looking people. They kind of represent what the world is and humanity is. And so it's like, we got like, not everyone is like jacked, like this freaking jacked dude.
There's no one except him. Richard Madden. I mean, he looks good, but I mean, he just looks like a normal guy that works out.
Exactly. Give Kamal, give him a shirtless scene. Come on, just do it. Just give him one during that Bollywood scene, which was pretty funny. They could have just done it, but he looked
good, and I'm glad, you know, for him that he did that. And you know, it's never bad to get super healthy, but he just like in every interview when he's talking about it, he's like, I wouldn't recommend anyone do this. This was by far the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, and if I had to go back and do it, I wouldn't do it.
Oh my god.
And it's like, then seeing the movie, I'm like, man, seems so unnecessary.
Right. I think we're gonna, next time we see him,
we're
gonna
get before.
Yeah. You know how it's been like going from Peter Quill from Guardians 1 to like Infinity War. There's like a pretty big difference. He still looks great, but I think we're gonna get
half a sandwich away from fat.
We might get that from for his next appearance, which I'm 100% behind. You can do that.
Mental health, I hope.
For your mental health.
Eat some cheesecake, my friend. Delicious.
Get some cheese puffs. Yeah. Anything else you want to bring up? I think I've expended, I think, all my opinions on this one.
I've complained more than my share.
Yeah. I mean, I've praised this movie, but I've criticized it too. For me, it's middle of the road, which is, you know, a good thing for me. You know, I think like there's Marvel movies that I not as big a fan of, and there's ones that I'm just like, oh, it's good. And there's, you know, kind of the middle. This one's in the middle for me, like right above the it's good, where I'm like, I like it. You know, there's kind of like in the right there above, right there, a slot above Ant-Man and the Wasp, and definitely above the Iron Man 3s and 2s and Incredible Hulks and all that stuff. Why do I say Incredible Hulks as if there's more than one? There's just the one.
That's a weird one to pick too, because that's like before everything.
Right. That one sticks out really badly.
It's pretty low on my list. You know, I think it's good because I think there are good things about it because there's been so many movies before, and so
Right.
you know, there's just good things that they know to do now. But I think they did go pretty off script when it came to the Marvel movies, which a lot of times for me is a good thing, because I think I complained last time we watched a Marvel movie about, you know, formulaic feeling of these
Right.
movies. But for me, this one just, it missed the mark and direction. You know, that's my best way of putting it. Like direction of characters, and you know, like you said, I mean, these are all great actors. I have no problem with their acting ability. Some of them worked for me, some of them didn't, and the story, I don't know. It didn't seem organized very well, and I've already said all this. I'm not going to re-say it. But yeah, it was okay. It was very much okay for me.
Well, next up, we've got the big one. This just about a month away. Which is crazy. It's crazy.
Is it Christmas?
It's a little bit before. It's not one of those day of Christmas movies.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's around there.
Christmas
I think it's like
window.
the 21st. Let me see. Let me look at the calendar.
That's Christmas.
Yeah, it's Christmas enough, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of movies come out on Christmas, anyways.
I think it's the 17th. I believe it's December 17th, which is the Friday before Christmas Eve.
Yeah, I'm looking at the calendar. You're right.
Oh, freaking boy! Yeah, that will be our Christmas, our Christmas podcast when we talk about freaking. Yeah, I'm with everyone else. I mean, that's where I'm at. I am extremely hyped for this movie.
Then Matrix Resurrections, Jordan.
My God,
is right there.
You're
and
right.
The King's Man.
It's gonna be a stacked December.
King's Man.
King's Man. After 2.5 years of waiting, we're finally here. It came out. Maybe we're not there yet. Let's not counter
the Matrix Resurrections. I mean, the King's Man. Like, yeah, I'll see that. But the Matrix Resurrections and Spider-Man are just gonna be like crazy.
These are big giant movies.
December 17th, Spider-Man No Way From Home. December 22nd, Matrix Resurrections. According to the IMDb calendar, which I don't even know what to make of movie releases at this point. So
I think that's
hopefully
accurate.
Those stay right.
22nd is,
I don't know,
Wednesday, which is, yeah, it could be trying to avoid the whole Christmas thing. The whole, I don't know.
And Spider-Man and by not doing it on the 17th.
Spider-Man, absolutely. Move out of the way.
1 week.
Goodness gracious. But a lot to be excited for as far as movies are concerned. And so.
Indeed. Yeah.
Who boy?
And games. Halo,
man.
So excited
that
for
is
Halo.
On the 10th, right? Is that right?
That sounds right. Yeah, I know it was like the first week of December.
Very excited to play that. The campaign, we didn't really talk much about it, but that latest campaign trailer, it's got me really excited.
Yeah. I think it's going to be really good. I mean,
yeah,
I got to play multiplayer. I'm excited for that. Excited to see some more maps. That was like my one complaint playing that beta. Just same map over and over and over. Can't wait.
Yep, got some good feelings about it. But anyways, well, we'll be around next week talking about some fiddle faddle.
Ghostbusters, man, it's getting great reviews.
Oh,
I really got to see that Afterlife.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. We'll definitely be doing that. That's next Friday, is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Very cool. All right, guys. Well, I guess that is the end of today's show. We'll see you next time.
See ya.